Surfactants. The main industrial applications of soluble bioorganic substances are connected to their ability to lower the surface tension of water. Because of this property, they fall into the category of chemicals called surfactants. The surfactants currently in widespread commercial use are mostly derived from fossil sources, such as oil, and are known as synthetic surfactants, whereas we will call surfactants obtained from renewable biological resources, such as biomass residues, biosurfactants. The surface tension of soluble bioorganics, isolated from biomass residues, occurs because of the way the carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen and oxygen elements bond with each other and are grouped together in one molecule. The video image represents a virtual molecular fragment made up of a long, complex chain of carbon atoms bonded together. This chain forms a kind of molecular backbone to which the hydrogen, nitrogen and oxygen elements attach themselves. The relevance of this type of molecular assembly for practical applications is that not only does it have an affinity with oily substances, that is to say, it tends to mix with oil and is said to be lipophilic, but it also has an affinity with water, as shown by the parts circled in red. The video shows what happens when we add a surface active substance to water. We can observe the drops of surfactant coming out of the red tube above the beaker and hitting the water in the beaker. The first drops of surfactant occupy the water surface, which is in contact with the air. We can see that the surfactant molecules point their hydrophilic parts, evidenced here in red, down into the water, and their lipophilic parts, evidenced here in blue, up towards the air. Once the surface of the water is saturated with surfactant, the surfactant molecules then sink down into the water, where they join together to form micelles. Micelles are made up of single surfactant molecules which are attracted to each other. These molecules are held together by bonds which are weaker than the bonds holding together the elements within each single molecule. As we can see, while the micelles sink down into the water, they direct their red hydrophilic parts outwards to be in contact with the surrounding water, and their blue lipophilic tails inwards to be as far as possible from the surrounding water, which they have an aversion to. Micelles inside the water look like different shaped containers. Those in the video have cylindrical or spherical forms. These containers may measure less than 1/1000th of a millimeter and are often called nano or micro containers. They cannot be seen by the naked eye and are only visible under an optical microscope or similar powerful instruments. The inside of these very small nano or micro containers is known as a micellar core and is made up of the surfactant's lipophilic molecular fragments. The micellar core, therefore, is a suitable environment to host molecules of other substances such as oil. It allows these other substances to dissolve within the water and not stay separate from it, as normally occurs in the absence of surfactant. As we have already mentioned, the bonds holding together the single surfactant molecules in the micelle are relatively weak, and certainly weaker than the bonds between the elements in a single molecule. This means that a surfactant micelle is not a rigid container and can expand to host oil molecules of different sizes while remaining within the water. Neat water and neat oil without surfactant, on the other hand, results in the formation of a top layer of oil and a bottom layer of water. The videos which follow demonstrate some of the important practical applications deriving from the surface activity properties of biosurfactants isolated from biomass residues.